You got a raise. You cut subscriptions. You stopped eating out as much. You did the things people tell you to do. And somehow, at the end of every month, the money is still gone. Not wasted on anything dramatic, just gone. That feeling isn't a budgeting failure. It's something deeper, and it's worth understanding. There's a version of modern life that was sold to us as standard. A car payment, a decent apartment or a mortgage, a phone plan, streaming services, a gym membership you intend to use. Take out a few nights a week because you worked hard and you deserve a break. Clothes that fit your role. Occasional travel to stay sane. Weekend spending because weekdays are already hard enough. None of these things are outrageous on their own. Every single one has a reasonable justification. But when you add them up, you get a life that costs an enormous amount of money just to maintain, and still doesn't feel like enough. That's the design. Not a conspiracy, not a scam. Just the quiet architecture of how modern life was built. The baseline keeps rising. 30 years ago, a single car was a family luxury. Now a household without 2 cars is considered inconvenient. 20 years ago, a smartphone was a business tool. Now not having the latest model reads as a social signal, a career signal, even a competence signal in some circles. The things that used to be optional have been reclassified as necessary, and necessity doesn't feel like a choice you made. It feels like a floor you're standing on. This is called baseline creep, and it operates at a cultural level before it ever touches your personal budget. By the time you sit down to make financial decisions, the frame has already been set for you. You're not choosing whether to participate in the expensive version of life. You're choosing how much of it to scale back. And scaling back carries its own social and psychological cost. That cost is real. When you drive an older car in certain environments, people notice. When you don't take vacations your colleagues take, you feel it in the conversation. When your apartment is noticeably below the standard of your peer group, there's a quiet discomfort that money doesn't fully explain, but absolutely influences. Most people respond to that discomfort by spending. And this is where the loop becomes self-reinforcing. You spend to meet the standard. Meeting the standard drains your savings. Draining your savings increases financial stress. Financial stress makes you want relief. Relief, in consumer culture, is purchased. So you spend again, not recklessly, but reasonably, on things that feel justified. A nice dinner, a weekend trip, something small that makes the week feel worth it. None of these purchases are stupid. That's what makes this so frustrating. You're not being irresponsible. You're being human. But the cumulative weight of 1,000 reasonable decisions produces an unreasonable outcome. A life that perpetually feels like it costs more than you have. Now add to this the way income and lifestyle interact. When people earn more, they almost universally spend more. Not because they're undisciplined, but because earning more is typically accompanied by social migration. New job, new colleagues, new neighborhood, new expectations. The comparison group shifts upward. The baseline shifts upward. The spending shifts upward. And after a while, the raise feels like it disappeared. Because in a functional sense, it did. This is not a new observation, but the mechanism behind it is worth sitting with. The reason more money doesn't solve the expensive feeling isn't that money doesn't matter. It's that the feeling of expensive is relative, not absolute. You don't experience your bank balance in isolation. You experience it against a backdrop of what you think you should have, what people around you have, and what your life is supposed to look like at this stage. That backdrop is extraordinarily expensive. So what actually changes anything? The honest answer isn't a budget hack. It's a values audit. A genuine reckoning with which parts of your expensive life you actually chose and which parts you inherited without question. Most people, when they slow down and examine it, find that a significant portion of their spending exists to maintain an image, a role, or a sense of normalcy that they never consciously signed up for. The car isn't about transportation. It's about what the car says. The apartment isn't about shelter. It's about what the address signals. The clothes, the gadgets, the subscriptions. Many of them are infrastructure for an identity, not a life. That's not a moral judgment. Identity spending is human. But when you're spending to maintain an identity you didn't choose, you get the bill without the satisfaction. That's the worst financial outcome. Not debt from recklessness. Chronic drain from a life you're funding, but not fully living. The people who genuinely escape this cycle don't usually earn dramatically more. They redefine what normal looks like for them. Deliberately, not apologetically. They make explicit decisions about which social floors they're willing to drop through and which ones they aren't. They tolerate a certain amount of friction, a certain amount of looking different, in exchange for financial margin. Margin is the word that matters here, not wealth in the abstract. Margin, the gap between what you earn and what your life actually costs. That gap is where options live. That gap is where security comes from. And that gap cannot grow when the baseline keeps rising, and you rise with it. The expensive feeling doesn't go away automatically with more income. It goes away when you stop letting the culture set your floor. That requires something harder than cutting a subscription. It requires deciding what kind of life you're actually building, and being willing to let that look different from the one that surrounds you. The reason life feels expensive isn't that you're doing it wrong. It's that you're doing it normally. And normal, in the modern economy, is extremely well monetized. The exit isn't a number. It's a decision. A decision about which standards you own and which ones own you. Make that distinction clearly enough, and the expensive feeling starts to lose its grip.